Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Athirah binti Muhammad Rashidi. My metric number is 262904. Okay, today I will present my study. My study is about transportation and logistics sector in Malaysia. My company is Complete Logistic Service Berhad. Okay, first of all, background of the company. Complete Logistics Service Berhad is involved in a transportation and logistics sector in Malaysia. The company offers 4 services, namely marine transportation, land transportation, warehousing service, and forwarding service. Okay, the logistics industry is a backbone of the global supply chain and is becoming increasingly important in promoting trade activity and boosting a country's economy. Okay, next, the problem statement. One of the objectives Complete Logistics Service Berhad is to maximize their profit. In order to understand and analyze the most influencing factor, this study is conducted. Okay, I will talk about research objective. Okay, first, to study the influence and relationship between the internal factor and company's profitability. Second, to investigate the relationship between the company profitability and macroeconomic factor. Okay, lastly, to examine the internal factor that may influence the liquidity risk. Okay, for the research question, first, how the internal factor affect and relate to the company profitability. Second, how the macroeconomic factor affect the company profitability. Okay, lastly, is there any relationship between internal factor toward liquidity risk? Okay, next part, literature review. This chapter will talk about the literature review involved in my study. So this chapter will explain the financial definition and concept of risk and shows the formation of liquidity risk and determinant. So this is internal factor that involved in my study. First, financial risk, credit risk, liquidity risk, operational risk, return on asset. Okay, next part, I will talk about the methodology that I use in my study. Okay, in my study, the study use multivariate regression analysis in SPSS to measure the presentation, profitability, and macroeconomic variable on the complete logistics service Berhad within 5 years. So the study used multivariate regression analysis in SPSS. This is to measure the presentation, profitability, and macroeconomic variable on complete logistics service Berhad within 5 years. The methodology that I use in my study is statistical technique, sampling technique, data analysis, and statistical package for social science. This part is finding analysis. First, descriptive statistic. However, the data is sampled from the 5 years from 2015 to 2019 of complete logistics service Berhad. Mean explain about the total of number divide by 5 years, or as known as average, while for the standard deviation is a measure of development of dependent and independent variable. The correlation have the positive correlation with ROA. So second, the correlation, I can say there have two positive correlation with ROA, which is dependent variable, which are exchange rate and unemployment rate. Okay, next for ANOVA, the data for unemployment rate, GDP, current ratio, exchange rate are independent variable. So they are not influenced with ROA because they have a p-value. They have no p-value. For all the data in internal and external factor, only several data have selected by SPSS in ANOVA. Okay, next for the model summary. Okay, finally, the data R square explain about the number from independent variable contribute external variable 1.000 times 100. It means 100% is not contribute from ROA. Then the number of value adjusted R square does not exist. Okay, this is a ROA curve of my study. ROA profit that measure the level of efficiency of company or organization in using its asset. This ratio is calculated by dividing the net income by the total asset of the company, which in this analysis are listed for 5 years. The figure above the figure shows the ROA in 5 years of complete logistic Berhad. In 2019, the complete showed the highest amount of ROA among all years. We have reached the discussion section. Okay, based on the table correlation, there are two positive correlation with ROA as a dependent variable, which are exchange rate and unemployment rate. The data from the ANOVA unemployment rate, GDP, current ratio, exchange rate is independent variable, not influenced with ROA because there has no p-value from From all the data, the internal and external factor, only several data have selected by SPSS in ANOVA. Okay, and lastly, R square explain about the number from independent variable contribute the external variable. As I just say that so in another section, I just say 100% is not contribute from ROA. And lastly, R square explain about the number from independent variable contribute external variable. So from what I get, 100% is not contribute from ROA. Then the number of value adjusted R square does not exist. Okay, and last but not least, recommendation. Okay, the recommendation for this company is to manage their debt wisely so that they can gain maximum profit. Lastly, they can be more diligent in managing their operational risks so that they can attract more investors. Okay, and that's all from me. Thank you, sir.